Hey, what's happening? Happy Monday to everybody. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early. It's 4:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, this is going to be it's not quite a movie review, and it's not quite a review of an actor. I'm kind of upset. I watched a movie lately, and I'm kind of angry about, I'll get into it more. You guys all know Bruce Willis. I love Bruce Willis. You guys probably remember him from Moonlighting. That's what being 56 years old, I remember from Moonlighting. I was in my early 20s. I was still drinking and going to bars and everything. And Bruce Willis, his character had a wild, rebellious, easy come, easy go kind of attitude, flip it attitude. And I loved him in that. Hey, let me say this: Bruce Willis is one of those actors that just has that it factor. His eyes, his facial expressions, his body language, when he delivers these lines, he's the kind of actor that has the talent. It just sucks you right in. You believe, like A Sixth Sense or so many of these movies. You believe he is who you believe. He automatically makes any movie that he's in better. When I see his face on the cover of a DVD or a video back then, I'd be like, I'd grab it because I know it, I'd get into it. It'd have to be a great movie. He would make it a great movie. All right. So let me fast forward to just recently, 2021. I started to notice when I have about 800 videos here at home. And I go to box stores and I buy videos. Watching movies is one of my favorite pastimes when I have time. And I go to the library, local stores, and I noticed I started seeing his face on the cover of like 3 or 4 of the latest releases. So I'm like, wow, this guy is working crazy. He must be working 24/7, putting out 3, 4, 5 movies. I'll put a link down below. I think he's put out 20 to 30. There's not even a solid count. 20 to 30 movies in the last 2 years. It works out to 4 or 5 movies a year. I don't know how anybody even does that. And I had some thoughts on this. He's one of the wealthiest actors in Hollywood. I'll put the links down below. But then it came out, this announcement in March 30th of 2022 that he has aphasia. Okay, so aphasia is the inability to speak or understand language due to brain damage. Okay, and that could be because of cancer, because of a stroke, etc. It doesn't say what caused Bruce Willis' aphasia. Sometimes you can come out of it a little bit, I guess. I started to think that, okay, he's coming up to the end of his career. Maybe he just wants, he's already wealthy. I wasn't quite sure why he's taking substandard movies. I started watching some of these movies and they just weren't up to his, they weren't very good movies. The set, the storyline, it looked cheap. And then, it started to look like they were just, the movies were just using his face and his name to put out these bad movies. So I started thinking, well, maybe the medical bills are outrageous, or maybe he wants to get a bankroll going for his kids. He's got quite a few kids. So I thought maybe he's just go out with a bang. Maybe he's got issues with leaving, stopping work. I don't know. I couldn't figure out why he keep going into doing more these worse and worse movies, and with his sickness. Until just recently, I watched this movie, The Wire Room, and this movie made me embarrassed for Bruce Willis, disgusted, angry and disgusted, not at Bruce Willis, but at the people around him. He should have never done this movie. It was an embarrassment to him, and I just felt sorry for him when I watched this movie. He shouldn't. There's no way. He has aphasia. My feeling is if he was going to do any movie in the last year since he got diagnosed, it probably should be something that talks about his disease. Actually playing a character. This is my thoughts, but my opinion. But playing a character that has aphasia, because that wouldn't be a far stretch. It would be very believable. Plus, it would help the medical community. It would help people with the disease. You know, I think there's been actors in the past that have done stuff like this, but that's not what happens in this movie. Let me just go over this movie really quick. This movie just came out, since I think it was September, just in the last month or two on DVD and in theaters. And I wanted to check it out because, like I said, there's just been more and more of these Bruce Willis movies, and they'd be getting worse and worse. So this was the newest one. It looked kind of good. I recognized the name Kevin Dillon, his co-actor in this. So I gave it a shot. Let me see this. I was pleasantly surprised by the storyline. It pulled me in. I won't give anything away here, but the story, I watched the whole movie all the way through. The parts that had Bruce Willis, the very few parts of the movie that you can't say that he starred in this movie. He was in the movie about 4 times. In the beginning for about 10 minutes, little snippets, maybe a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, and then maybe 10 minutes at the end. At the end there was a little action. It was hard to watch. It really was, especially once you know he has aphasia and you know what he's dealing with. I mean, it was obvious when you watch this movie that they were editing all over the place. You know, you could see when he was giving his line, they weren't focusing the camera on him. They were focusing the camera on his co-star as he was talking. Like they were dubbing in, they were dubbing in his voice after. There was actually a couple of parts where the camera would go to him right at the end of a sentence and his mouth wasn't moving. That's how bad this movie was. The action parts were even worse. The way he walked, I don't know how, I felt bad for him. The man is suffering from a medical condition, and he shouldn't have been in this movie. I don't know who suggested to this, if it was his idea. Like I said, maybe he should have done something about a movie about aphasia, or somebody should have talked to him if this was his idea. Otherwise, I think it was somebody using him. It was just, it was hard to watch. You can't call it, he was propped up and edited into this movie. There's one point where he's laying on the ground at the end of the movie, and he couldn't even, it reminded me of a child when a child pretends to sleep and they can't quite keep their eyelids shut, and they're awake, because their eyes are like this. That's what he looked like. I mean, he couldn't even, and I'm not putting down Bruce Willis here. I'm just saying, his medical condition he should not have been in this movie. So I looked it up, and apparently he's done a movie after this called, they're saying it's the perfect film for the end of his career. It's called Paradise City. And this movie hasn't come out yet on DVD. It's supposed to come out December 20th this year, and I can't even imagine what this movie is like, because this movie was just, it was hard to watch, especially if you are a Bruce Willis fan. He should not have been in this movie. He was used in this movie. So this movie, Paradise City, is coming out December 20th on Blu-ray and DVD, and it was made obviously after this movie. And this one was so painful to watch. I can't. And John Travolta apparently co-stars with him in Paradise City, this last big going out movie that's coming out December 20th. And I can't imagine. I think John Travolta and Bruce Willis have been in movies before. I would think that John Travolta would think better of trying to talk his friend out of this, or not going along with this. Like I said, I'm not putting down Bruce Willis at all, but if you watch this movie, you'll understand what I'm saying. If he was going to do a movie, in my opinion, it should have been more about reality, something dealing with aphasia, with him as the star of the movie coming down with aphasia, something that's believable, and that he could have actually pulled off acting in a good way. And it would have been a plus to the people that suffer from aphasia out there. But this is embarrassing. And anybody, the circle around Bruce Willis that allowed him to do this movie, that talked him into it, that told him it was a good idea, you should be ashamed of yourselves. All right, That's my movie review, first time video. Let me know what you guys think. Have a good Monday.